Let's jump right in and dig into the mistakes that I made that almost cost me my business. So let's backpedal a little bit here. Almost a decade ago, I started a seamless gutter business. And then throughout all of that, I added garage doors and siding and windows and roofing and got rid of things and all that. Anyways, I got it to where roofing and gutter were my main things. And I got pretty good at it. And I started like believing the lie that, you know, my mom and everybody else was saying, like, Colin, everything you touch turns to gold. Because I was doing pretty well, and I'd buy a house and flip it and sell it and make a, you know, 80 grand, 100 grand, whatever. And I was doing things like that pretty consistently. I'd buy a piece of equipment and use it and sell it and make more money, like a bulldozer or something like that. It just kind of worked out in my favor. And I got a little bit arrogant. Truthfully, I just started believing it was me and had nothing to do with God blessing me. But anyways, that's besides the point. I got arrogant and I was like, I can do this anywhere. And so I started taking a little bit bigger risks. And rather than just depending on myself and my team, I started depending on other people. And so let's dig into what I did over the course of 1 year that almost cost me not just all my businesses, but my house and everything else, and how, like, by the grace of God, I didn't declare bankruptcy. So we'll call it July 2023, all right? I had this bright idea. Well, what I got going here in Michigan works so well, I can duplicate it everywhere, and it doesn't need any of me. And so I threw this offer out there into the interwebs of, hey, who wants to start a one-way exteriors location in their state? I'm funding it, you run it, we'll operate like partners, but I own all of it on paper, you just get 50% profit share. And here's where I made the big mistake. I gave them a fat salary up front. I'm talking six figures, all right? So 6-figure salary, and I bet on the wrong people. And so there was no incentive for them to ever earn profit after Colin fronted a new truck, a new gutter machine, a bunch of materials, a big fat salary, initial marketing spend, usually like 30 to 50 grand coming to market cost. There was no real incentive to, like, let's go get it. I had one who was, and still is, an amazing human being, just didn't quite have that it factor to really grow a business himself. So July 2023, I started, it was 2 locations. And then September 2023, I added 1 more location. And you can kind of math these out. Each one of these locations, a $50,000 truck, $16,000 a machine and tools, 30 to 50 grand coming to market advertising costs, all being floated by my one location here in Michigan. You're like, whew, that's a decent chunk of change. Yeah, it's a $250,000 right there, right? That doesn't include the big fat salaries, right? That doesn't include operating expenses like the CRM, like insurance, like everything else that goes into owning a business, all right? That was just initial upfront cost. So I did that. Then at that same time, stupidly, I did a house edition, and not just a normal house edition, all right? It's like a 6,000 square foot home edition. Ridiculous, all right? I get it, I know, I got cocky, all right? I still own that house. It's a beautiful home. I love it. God is doing a lot of really cool things with that house, but we did a big home edition, all right? And you can guess how much 6,000 square feet cost, all right? So we did that. Then December 2023, I did barn business. And then it was April 2024, excavating business, because I had all this fancy equipment. And I was like, well, shoot, man, like, let's just get this equipment making me money. And that cost me a bunch of money too. But the barn business, I invested about $50,000 into it. I took a buyout from it a year later when I realized my attention, well, we'll get into all of that. But anyways, took a hit on that one as well. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I forgot about something. This same time, we'll call it December 2023, $1 million storage facility that I broke ground on. All right, so I started building that. You can see how my attention got very, very, very divided. On top of all of this, we have the OG Michigan location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 big things. Oh, you know what? I forgot another one. This is ridiculous. I don't know when this one started. I think it was like November of 2023. Church to apartment. So I turned a church into 3 apartments, all right? And that was, you know, up front, I think I was like $350 into it before I was like, I put the brakes on it, now it's for sale. So I spent a ton of money in that time from July 23 through April 2024. I spent a lot of my freaking money because I bought that lie that, holy cow, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm pretty good at this business thing. Anything I do is going to work out pretty darn well. And you know what? The truth is, so far in life, everything that I've done, that I do, I've done pretty darn well. I do it with excellence. I give it my all. But I personally wasn't doing those. I wasn't doing that. Whatever. This, I was. This, I wasn't really doing. This, I was just a silent partner. I was more or less just mentoring the guy. Same thing in this one. And then obviously Michigan, I was pretty absent in it. Things got pretty wild and I wasn't all in on anything. I was really like 10% in on everything, doing a disservice to all of them. And I was just bleeding money out everywhere, right? These things needed money constantly. This needed money constantly. This needed money constantly. House needed money constantly. This needed money constantly. This took a lot of my time, not so much my money. This took a decent amount of my time and a lot of my money. Equipment costs a lot of money. I don't know if you know this, but like I had to replace an undercarriage on my bulldozer, $30,000, right? I had to replace a hydraulic pump on my skid steer, $5,000. Like little things that cost a lot of money in that business, right? And I exited that business for $3,700 is all I made over the course of 1 year with that. So pretty ridiculous, but that's besides the point. All of this equaled, holy cow, life is getting really freaking crazy for me. I put the kibosh on the house edition, so it's not completely finished yet. I eventually closed all these locations. So these ones, boom, gone. This one, boom, gone. This is for sale. This is on hold. This one is done, finally. So that one is done, and that one is renting out. Praise God. Barn Bosses, I exited. This one, I exited. And then this now is getting my attention again. I forgot to add in there that we came to market with Gutter Launch some point just before that. It was like June of 2023. So this and Gutter Launch now are my bread and butter, and that's all I'm focusing on. But I bought into the lie that so many home service or just business owners in general buy into. Well, I can do this thing pretty darn good. That means I'll be able to do all this pretty darn well as well. And it's just not the case. When your attention gets divided and your monies get divided like that, it kills you so fast. All this happened in the course of a year. I went from earning, 7 figures every single year to holy cow. And then when I was, my attention was divided by this and this was funding a bunch of this went down. All right. So when One Way Michigan now had to fund these 2 locations all of 2020, or these 3 locations all of 2024, holy cow, like things get really, really tight, really, really quick. Not all of 2024. Actually, those 2, they all were closed by May, but we only had them open for less than a year before I was like, nope, we're done. We're refocusing. But, 6-figure salaries, a lot of just operating expenses. 2 of these locations cost me all in $400,000. The other one was like $300,000, all right, in the negative. All while this was floating some money, floating salaries. This took a huge hit because now my team here was trying to help out here a little bit, and here in Michigan, numbers went down, just absolute nightmare all around. And it is by nothing but the grace of God that I did not have to declare bankruptcy when your total sales and revenue decreases by about $2.5 million in a year while floating $100,000, $100,000, $60,000, and another $400,000 in salaries. Whew, that's a big ouch, right? And that's just what happened. I got so divided in my attention that nothing was being done with excellence anymore. So we got rid of half of it. We're focusing on this and Gutter Launch, and that's it. Everything else is falling to the wayside. I've turned down already like 3 or 4 different business opportunities in 2025 because I'm committed to One Way and Gutter Launch, all right? We are hell-bent on making sure that these 2 things are it. These 2 things this year will pump out over $10 million in total revenue, far more than the rest of this stuff. And it's like, whoa, okay, cool. $10 million in revenue. Gutter Launch is super profitable. That's an info product. one-way Michigan, really profitable as well. So things are looking up. We're crawling out of some holes. At the end of the day, I have nothing to hide. We got debt, right? Like there's debts that were accrued. I racked up some credit cards, keeping some of this stuff afloat, keeping, creditors off my back or whatever. And we've sold off some things, but you know what? There are people out there that be like, haha, you act like you're all high and mighty. You know what? No, I've just endured some stuff and I've learned a lot throughout all of this. But at the end of the day, this thing works really, really well. And that's what I'm here teaching, is how to run a home service business successfully. And you do that by not getting your attention divided by everything else. So you focus in, you stay committed, even when you think, okay, cool, I'm doing $5 million a year. It's time to add this other service. It's time to add this new location. It's not, all right? Double down, make it 10 mil. And then by the time you hit 10 mil, you'll be like, you know what? Why would I do anything else? And then you're gonna double down again and you're gonna make it 20 mil. And then you're like, you know what, this is pretty darn cool. And then you have private equity coming to you and all this other fun stuff. And you're like, whew, if I can exit this, get a couple $1 million, not more than a couple million if you're doing 20, right? Get a bunch of money and it's gonna be like, whew, now I can explore the storage. Now I can do the big fancy home edition. Now I could look at a new business venture once this stuff is working the way that you want it to. So don't buy the lie that you're pretty good at this stuff, therefore I can do 10 different things. It doesn't work that way, all right? Let me just be honest with you. 2 out of 3 of these relationships completely gone, right? Wiped off the face of the earth. To the people, no relationship whatsoever. This all went well. This one, relationships tarnished. This one, relationships gone. Just sucks, right? It's the reality of it. It sucks. When you bet on someone and their dream, like this one here, I bet on his dream, but he wasn't willing to bet on his own dream. And if he's not willing to put in the effort and just expects me to keep fronting money, it ain't gonna work. And so when I came to him, I was like, this ain't working out, dude. And then I got all my equipment back in shambles. I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, I've done nothing but try and help you. And then you can understand the rest of it. Same situation happens, right? That's just the way that it goes. Business can get dirty and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. I hate that, you can't walk away from something and still have a relationship. There's always people just won't accept their own responsibility and they have to blame somebody else. And when you're in the investor role, that they're gonna blame you, right? Oh, that guy needed too much money. Oh, that guy expected too much of me or whatever else. Praise God for Eric Sloggett. He was like the one in all of this. So shout out to you, Eric. You're a fantastic human being and grateful for you in my life. Sorry things didn't work out. Hopefully you and the family are doing well. But anyways, that's just the way that it goes, right? Sometimes business sucks, but at the end of the day, all of this is on me. There's nobody else to blame other than myself. I went from building this business to automated to all right, there's no more fires for me to put out here. Let's create a whole freaking forest fire and have all these other fires to put out. And I went from being Hatman Hank, wearing all the hats in this business, to automating it, to now being Hatman Hank of different businesses. And I just went from hat to hat to hat to hat all throughout the day, and nothing really got to move forward. It was really dumb. So there you have it. This has been a long, rambling video, but that's how I almost lost all my businesses in 2024. It was an absolute crap show, and I don't wish that on anybody, but I'm significantly stronger. This business, I went from 18 employees down to 5, right, this winter. I was like, you know what, done, boom, 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 boom. That was me firing everybody except for one, all but one, or 2 of them, sorry. One sales rep and GM. They left on their own, but the writing was on the wall. Right, so that's just the way it goes sometimes. And we're back in this, and this is running stupid profitable right now. We're rebuilding, hiring on people now as springtime is coming, and we'll get this thing, it'll probably triple this year, and that'll be pretty darn cool. That's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess, as Anchorman says it. And hopefully this video has been somewhat beneficial to you. Hopefully it's deterred some of you from starting different ventures this year, because I don't want to see you in this. We all think we're immune to the same thing. I sure as heck did. That won't happen to me. That won't happen to me. Alex Hermosa, you don't know what you're talking about. Warren Buffett, you don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't, I'm actually just a good dude. People aren't going to screw me like that. Nope, they will, and they do, and it still sucks. There you have it. Hopefully this video has served some of you really, really well. Get out there, win bigly, so that you can give bigly, y'all, because that's what it's all about.